Showtime.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the wide world of podcastium. I'm the Restaurant Whisperer. Welcome to our channel. We're going to be doing three things. We're going to talk about restaurants, how to run them, tutorials. We're going to interview restaurant people, restaurant folks, or folks with great restaurant stories. And we're going to interview at restaurants. And we're going to talk about their history and fun stories. And I want to introduce my colleague here, Blair. And
Hello, everyone.
we're going to be working together. We're going to banter back and forth. She has great ideas. She's probably going to make my life miserable. But here we
That's
go.
going to be a mutual thing. That's going to be a mutual thing going back and forth. Don't think that's an exclusive club.
So what do you think?
I'm just super excited to get started. You and I have had a lot of conversations about this and a lot of laughs during our conversations. And I think it's going to be great for people, who are in the restaurant business looking just, bounce like it. I think this channel is going to be very interactive. It's not just going to be, people listening to us. We want to interact with the viewers, people that have restaurants already, want to get into restaurants, or just people that like going to restaurants and everything. So we're going to build a community of viewers and everything like that, and have fun.
Well, that's the whole idea of this to our viewers. We want to have fun. We don't want to do anything negative. We don't want to talk bad about restaurants. There's enough people talking bad about them. We don't want to do that. We want to talk about the history of the restaurants, the fun stories, and eventually, if we could get this thing going very well, we want to move on to places in New York or Baltimore, Las Vegas, LA, with great history of some places that are still here that have great history. And so what do you think of that?
I like it. And it just everybody can have, in any business or in any hobby or anything, have it down packed or think that they're doing good. But, you can, continuous improvement is what I think everybody can get into it and learn from people. You can always do it better. You can always improve, for the customer's experience or the employees, workplace, and just learning from each other is really, I think, the goal here for everybody, and to just get better. And, and see how people are doing things from different parts of the country. Like you said, eventually just want to go around to different spots and see how they're doing it. Because everybody, even people that have restaurants, they go to these restaurants in other parts of the country, but they don't talk to the owners or the managers on how they're doing, or, about some of the things that we've talked about, like staffing, hours, what's some of the stuff that we've talked about, hiring practices, ordering. They just go and they look and they eat at the restaurants and notice the design and move on and say that was a great restaurant. But they don't go anywhere and find out, well, how is this a great restaurant? It can be the food's great, but there's a lot that goes into having a great restaurant, which people don't dig into. And I think that that's something that we want to do for everybody, is dig in and find out what makes these restaurants so great. I mean, you can't just have a great restaurant with just great food, right?
Well, the average
has to run well.
Well, the average folks don't know what goes on behind the scenes.
Right.
They don't know what it takes to staff correctly, if that's even possible today with the current climate. They don't know what it takes to order properly. and ask how much. They don't know how to stop theft. And somebody who's in the business a long time, obviously, they know how to do that. Or they should have some clue into how to do it, or they won't be around long. But there's just a lot of things you got to know.
Right. And, the last thing, and something, we want to help people that are thinking about getting into the restaurant business from potentially not wrecking their lives because they don't know what they're doing and getting into the restaurant, and us going over the things that we're going to be going over. And they might even say, I watched The Restaurant Whisperer, and I'm glad that I did, because it stopped me from opening a restaurant. I didn't know there was so much that went into it. And I am not willing to, or I'm incapable of putting in that amount of time or commitment, or I didn't know that's all we have to deal with. Like, we want to save people also by letting them know, maybe this isn't for you. We just want to be very thorough about everything and help people.
Well, I've saved lots of people from going into the restaurant business and talked them out of it because they have no idea what they're getting into. Right. They have no idea the hours or the amount of money.
Like, we were watching a YouTuber, you and I think it was a YouTuber that said, oh, you don't have to be like with a restaurant, you don't have to put in 80 hours a week, or you only have to do 40. And you said, that's not true. You said, that's not true. Am I right? Am I remembering that correctly?
You're right. That's not true.
It takes a big commitment.
I have found stashed wine bottles under counters, under bars, food, steaks. If you're not there, your whole inventory can walk out the door.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you got to be there. I should do a podcast on how I look at the end of the week.
Yeah, start of the week, end of the week.
End of the week, after 70 or 80 hours. Now, once you know what you're doing and you developed a really good staff, it might not be that bad. And I was able, in my restaurant career, to get it to that. I should probably mention that. I have about 17 or 18 years involved in the restaurant business. The last restaurant was 12 or 13 years, almost 13 years, and ran a very profitable restaurant. And I learned how to do things and how not to do them. And we were doing a couple of $1 million a year. And we sat, especially during the summer, we had a big patio. And we sat a couple of hundred people. And that takes a larger staff to do. So I learned what to do and what not to do, and how to be profitable. So that's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah. The goal is just to help people, and educate and have, and I can't say this enough, and have fun and share war stories, if you will, hilarious stories. You and I have talked about, should you let staff date each other? Or I guess you can't stop it, or, management dating staff and all of those nightmare stories, or dating customers and stuff like that. Stuff like that. We've had a lot of laughs even just talking about this stuff.
Yeah, because you can put rules in, they're not going to be followed, but at least you make it up.
Right.
And that's what we're going to. I have 14 or 15 interviews lined up that we're going to do to start off. And we're going to I have one fella who used to be involved in the Men's Fashion Association in New York City. I have a fella who's
that'll be a good interview.
It'll be a great interview. And I have a fella who's
Can
a
he get us into
mover.
the Polo Lounge? We got to get in there.
Oh, I can get you into the Polo Lounge. I don't need him for that.
We need some interviews there.
I have a fellow who's a mover and shaker in Pittsburgh and in Florida, and he's not involved directly in the restaurant business, but he's been in restaurants with the owners his entire life, and he has just great stories. I have also some fellows who are involved in the restaurant business and have been their whole life, and some servers, very experienced servers, very experienced bartenders, and we're going to talk about all aspects, but we're not going to be negative. We're going to have fun.
To improve. Yeah. This isn't to any of the restaurants that we go to. It's not going to criticize the restaurants. We're not going to be reviewing food or anything like that. It's, what can make it's just all like experience, knowledge is power. The more you know, and the more, of people's experiences you can draw on, the better you'll get. We're not restaurant reviewers. It's just all to help people.
Yeah, I mean, I want to bring Patsy's in New York. I want to go in and Sal a little bit. I don't know him real well, but I want to interview Sal, and I want to do it from the Sinatra room in his restaurant, which I've been in a few times, and I want to talk about the history of some of these restaurants. And for instance, I've been going to Patsy's in New York since 1987.
Yeah, and find out how they've, so I'm going to ask you this question. How have they stayed in business so long? What is their magic? What do you think? Or is that something we need to find out?
Well, I guess being the regular spot for Frank Sinatra didn't hurt.
Well,
when I first started going to New York City, I had, that was before Google, and I had read in an article that was Frank Sinatra's hangout. So every time I went to New York, I went to Patsy's, trying to get a glimpse of Frank Sinatra. Well, I didn't know at the time that he had his own special little entrance. And
well, of course he did.
I didn't know. And so I didn't know that there was no way I was going to see him anyway. But how many people like me went in there trying to get a glimpse of Frank Sinatra? And so I didn't know until really a few years ago that nobody really saw it. But I would go into Mickey Mantle's every time I went to New York to see Mickey Mantle. And I did see it one time, but he didn't look in the shape that he probably wanted to talk to anybody, so I didn't. So that's what we want to do. We want to talk about the history and the fun things. Like when I first started going to Patsy's, the waiters were all old. They were like 80 years old, and they were all wearing tuxes. And they'd move the the dessert cart around. And no, it's a little different today, but it was fun. And I don't know, I've probably been there 25 or 30 over the years. So that's what we want to talk about. And we want to start in Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh has a great restaurant history.
It does.
And I don't know that people in the YouTube world realize that.
Well, no, I think people are starting to catch on because I've seen, a bunch of articles like Pittsburgh has become like a foodie town, like a foodie destination for like food people, like from the top 10, top 5 places in the country for foodie people to come. And a lot of the, the little like boutique restaurants or whatever have really done a great job. Like, just, and again, to use them as an example, Tolga and Rick opening up several different restaurants. I mean, they've done a really great job. And I think that they're, partially responsible for bringing, inspiring other little restaurants like the ones that they've opened. And then just even older spots like Dish that's been around since I've been in college. I don't know how long it was around before, but we just have like a very cool eclectic restaurant scene. Well, we did. A lot of it's kind of closed down since COVID, but we can talk about that and what COVID's done.
Well, Dish is an interesting one to talk about because I started going there. I wasn't in the restaurant business at the time, and I started going there, and the owner did have a restaurant in New York a long time ago, and it's authentic Sicilian food. It's phenomenal and might be in the top 3 of Italian restaurants in the area. It's phenomenal. And he runs it. It's a small place, and he runs it really well. He knows what he's doing. And I know him very well. He's a good guy.
Yeah. So yeah, we got a lot of fun stuff in store for everybody. I mean, you and I in our brainstorming sessions, and there will be many more videos to follow and discussions and bringing other people in. Of this, all we've done is take notes of things that we've gone over. That I'm like, this will be a great episode. 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 So, and we've gone over so many things that just nobody would even think of. Like, I know you've got the list and everything, but, just stuff that just through conversations of just you and I conversing about these things have come up that no one would even think to discuss. And then as we bring in more people, even more stuff will come out and maybe even more problems will get solved. And people's restaurants will run better and their customers will have a better time, and the employees will be happier. And, and then at the end of the day, it's all about bottom line being profitable and making more money. I mean, that's why people do what they do anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if it's just all, creating a synergy between, sometimes even restaurants, like we can go in or somebody can just listen to one of our videos or interviews and just realize that there was just one little thing that was off, that was like, just messing up the synergy, just one little thing that they didn't even think of. And then that will make all the difference in the entire world to them. Or the like finding a bottleneck in their whole operation or just something that they can tweak. And I look forward to hearing those stories. I hope that they say, Blair and Keith really helped me out. Blair and Keith really saved, our restaurant was struggling. And then there was just one little thing that I learned from watching their videos. And it made all the difference in the world. And just one little thing can make all the difference in the world. Just one thing.
I hope
or there could be a bunch of different things.
Well, I hope that people who are watching will tell us maybe something that they want us to talk about.
Right. And then you and I can go out and find it out.
Yeah.
We'll go in. We'll, if they say, well, what about this? We want ideas. And we also don't want to dictate just what we talk about. Like I said, this is a community that we're building, and we want feedback. So if there's stuff that the audience wants to hear about, tell us, and we'll go out and find the answers for you. Do the interviews, get opinions. From, like I said, customers, owners, managers, staff, things like that, and see if we can't get it figured out. It's going to be fun.
And fun stories.
And fun stories. Everybody's gone. Everybody's gone.
People just don't understand what goes on behind the scenes.
And then, a funny story, something I want to go over at another time is it was ridiculous stories like when, you were involved in that restaurant and so was I. And I realized that like the silverware was being stolen. Like there's the silverware.
You're the one who caught it.
I know. Like there's some fucking silverware.
You're the one who caught it.
I know, it's absurd. And the chef was like, and then it dawned on me. I'm like, wait, the chef's starting his own catering business, and all this silverware is gone. Yeah. And I can't remember. I'm sure there were plates gone, like all this other stuff. I mean, I remember that day because there were literally, to run a restaurant, there was 3 forks for an entire restaurant. Like it was so obvious. And I'm like, he's stealing this silverware for his catering company. I mean, and so point being, those are the things you have to like look out for if they're starting a side business. Like if your chef is starting his own catering company and still wants to work there, he's probably staying so he can rape and pillage your stuff. Until, stuff like that. Like if somebody's starting just little things like that, little stories like that could probably save somebody a lot of leakage.
Remember the day
if your chef starts his own catering company, he's got to go.
Well, we didn't know he started his own catering company.
I knew. We knew. The workers knew. We knew. He talked about it. That's how I was able to put it together. I'm like, wait a minute.
I was last on the deal team on that one. I didn't know. Nobody told me. I remember the day you came to me and said, Keith, what do? We only have 5 coffee cups. I go, what are you talking about?
All the coffee cups. Everything was gone. I mean, it was so ridiculous. And then it started and then cheaper stuff started, after you confronted him, then cheaper stuff just started showing back up that was mismatched. He probably got it at like Goodwill or something. I mean, that was like absolutely ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, the tin flatware from Restaurant Depot.
Yeah. It was bad. It was bad. But, those, just little things like that. Or, I guess maybe you don't have to fire your chef if they're starting their own catering company. And I'm sure that it happens more often than not. Just keep your eye on them because they're probably going to steal your stuff.
Well, you would go look for that.
If they have a similar business as to what's going on, they're taking your stuff. Period. And they were probably taking it anyway. But your flatware and your plates and coffee mugs and everything like that is going to disappear. So, do you?
Well,
and that would be a discussion. That would be a discussion panel item. Do you let them go?
We're going to talk about that. Well, linens, another, I don't even know if you knew this, that we were paying for the caterers. We were paying for the chef's linen.
Oh, I'm sure you were.
Yeah. I mean, I actually, after I figured it out, that was just right after I took over the place. But I reduced our linen bill from $1,800 a month to like $500.
Yeah, I mean, there's just all sorts of just crazy. I mean, and they think of anything, and I'm not criticizing. I'm just, people people are jerks from all walks of life. It's just they're so creative and so I don't mean to pick on restaurant staff because there's people, but yeah, it's just they're so creative. So you just have to, if we could share, I'm sure, our interviews that we're going to do, we'll say, hey, one time one did this. And it will sound like the craziest story in the whole world.
Yeah.
I mean, how bad for that chef to be so, not stupid, but just so brazen that he left no, I mean, how was a restaurant supposed to run? It was open. There were 3 forks. And then you'd have to go scramble. I mean, that's like, it's so brazen. It was ridiculous.
Well, at the time,
I started noticing that they were like running low, and then it just was down to like, I guess he just didn't care. He just took them.
Well, at the time, we were getting 3 food deliveries a week. And I didn't realize that the delivery in the middle of the week was his. The one at the beginning of the week was ours. The one in the middle of the week was his. And the one at the end of the week was ours. Mostly.
That's hilarious. I mean, those are funny stories.
It's hilarious.
I mean, it's terrible because it's somebody's money that's being stolen, but it's hilarious. I mean, hilarious. It's hilarious. So,
and we didn't invent this. I'm sure it's going on in a lot of other places. It's why you got to learn. You got to be there.
Yeah, like I said, that would be like a discussion panel. Like, do you let your chef? I mean, if your chef opens up a similar business that he can use your stuff, do you let him stay? Because I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I know it probably. I mean, I don't know. So that would be, and I'm sure that that's happened. I mean, I'm sure that happens more often than not. And then people are realizing, like, wait, what? We're ordering more food. Well, why? Oh, he opened up that business, and just learning experiences. That's all.
Well, one of the things that we're going to talk about, we're going to do some tutorials on, is ordering, because I pretty much took over that. The chef would tell me what he needed, and he'd give me an order. But what I learned over the years is if the chef wasn't the owner, he didn't ask how much. There was no negotiation, no how much. And one of the things that restaurant people have to learn to do is negotiate and develop pricing. Because that's the only way, especially today, it's the only way you're going to survive.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many people out there getting into the restaurant business know how to say how much.
Yeah.
And
the walk-on experience, I think I need to try out.
so that's one of the things that we're going to hit on really hard. That we're really
as a college student, I needed to look the part.
Well, good. Well, we're looking forward to it, and we'll get these interviews started here in the next couple week or two, whenever we can coordinate it with that. We wanted to wait for the busy season to settle down for the guys that we're interviewing, and January and February are the slow months for restaurants. So we're gonna be kicking out some good content for everybody to watch and learn from, and again laugh with us. So, all right. Well, we're gonna wrap this up for the day. And Keith, do you have anything that you want to say? I'm just looking forward to having fun with everybody and helping.
I don't have anything to add except we're starting this off for the new year. Have a great New Year's, everybody, and we'll look forward to talking to you.
Yes. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Happy New Year.